In his first interview since his replacement's been named, and likely his last interview, his last day is Friday, we sat down for an exclusive with the FBI's special agent in charge of Chicago, Jeffrey Sallet. He's just received a major promotion. His team here spearheaded what could end up being one of the largest corruption probes in Chicago history. Last day's Friday.
Yes, sir.
Favorite things about Chicago?
Everything. Great sports town, great people town, great cultural town.
Native Bostonian, worked in New York, Washington, New Orleans, now Chicago. Who's got the most corruption?
New Orleans and Chicago both have lack of integrity of government in places. I think what I would say to you in Chicago, since I've been here, I think the city is sick of it.
Would you say the current corruption probe, when it comes to charges, is not over?
I'm not going to comment specifically on anything that's ongoing. What I will say to you is we are very busy and will continue to be very busy. And if I were one of those politicians who is busy lining my own pockets and engaging in bad behavior, I'd be very worried right now. I would be thinking every day, when is it going to come my turn to have handcuffs put on me?
Sounds like more to come. I know I can't ask things case specific, but if you were to have a politician, a power broker who wore a wire and hasn't been seen for months, sources have said he's getting federal protection.
We should move on from that one.
So we will. On Chicago violence,
there are 115,000 self-admitted street gang members in the city of Chicago. That is an astronomical number. The partnerships in the Chicagoland area committed to keeping people safe are second to none anywhere in the country.
Yet some would say you have a state's attorney who's made a key priority bond reform, and in some cases, some might say decriminalizing crime. Do you, as federal law enforcement, have an obligation to offset that?
So I'm not going to comment on what would be political positions of different folks in this community. My job as a federal agent is to ensure that we are giving this city the best we can when it comes to investigating the people that we are capable of mitigating.
Which he's done. His expertise mapped Al-Qaeda after 9/11.
So the lessons of 9/11 were lack of communication and lack of partnership. Everything we do in 2019 is as a team. And he supervised the manhunt for the Tsarnaev brothers after the Boston Marathon bombings. Now, one of his high-profile cases. Can we ask about Jesse Smollett case?
No, well, you're not going to get anything.
Your top boss, top, President of the United States, often targets Chicago in tweets. Does that frustrate you?
No, I'm not going to answer that one.
No answer.
No.
As for his successor, Emerson Bowie, the incoming special agent in charge of the Chicago offices and a Chicago native.
So here's the advice that I would give the incoming special agent in charge. We are blessed with some of the best men and women to fight crime and keep America safe, and listen to the troops, because our troops are the best, and support them as they need to be supported. His new job will take him to FBI headquarters out east, but his family will stay in Chicago. This is now home.
It was nice to see you ask those questions we've all wanted to know, even if they're not going to answer them.
Yeah,
we know we're on the table.
And you sensed he wanted to answer them, and the answers were there, but he's a pro.
Fascinating.
Yeah, thank you.